So I want to talk and move us a little bit to the 2016 election and what happened as
what happened?
The subject of the book.
My book, yes.
There is a premise that is not really articulated one way or the other book, and I want to see where you fell on it. Was Donald Trump more or less a normal Republican candidate who one should have expected to begin with 42, 44% of the vote? And so you're just explaining how did a Republican candidate win the election? Or is Donald Trump an abnormal candidate who you should have expected to begin with 30, 35% of the vote? And so you have to have this very large explanatory leap to how he came close enough to actually win. What are you explaining?
I think, given the hyper-partisanship in the country right now, once he became the Republican nominee, the odds were very high that Republicans would come home to him as their nominee. Because regardless of what he said or how he behaved or what came out about him, he was their path to tax cuts. He was their path to a Supreme Court seat. There is an agenda on the other side that really does motivate the right. So I think at the end of the day, something like 90% of Republicans voted for him and 90% of Democrats voted for me. That's unfortunate in lots of ways. I wish we weren't in such a hyper-partisan political era. But that's what I always expected. I always thought the election would be close. I never was one of those people who said, oh my gosh, he's so unacceptable and this, that. I always thought it would be close. I didn't expect to be totally ambushed at the end, which is what I believe and obviously have written about it, cost me the election. But I always thought it would be close. It's not like there was going to be some wholehearted rejection of Trump by Republicans who frankly thought they could handle him. They thought, you know what, it'll be an entertaining 4 years. And, you know, Mike Pence and Mitch McConnell will take care of everything for us. I mean, that was the thinking that I believe went into a lot of the, Republicans, some of whom took a deep breath before they did it, but they didn't take him seriously. They didn't take a potential presidency seriously. They thought getting a Republican in there, that's going to deliver for these things that I care about.
But that's a kind of remarkable viewpoint. It's actually one that I share, but it's still a remarkable one to imagine that we are now in a time of reasons for polarization and anybody who wins a party primary, and parties no longer control of the primaries. Anybody who wins a party primary begins with spitting whistles in the party's election.
I believe that.
Does that mean we're more vulnerable to demagogues?
Yes. Authoritarians.
Authoritarians
Yes,
in
we
the
are.
past?
Yes, we are, Ezra. I mean, if I had lost to what I guess we could call a normal Republican, one of the other 16 people on the stage during the
Jim Gilmore.
somebody that might have been able to. Look, I would have been disappointed. I would have been upset, heartbroken. But first of all, I don't think it would have happened. But secondly, if it had happened, I wouldn't feel such a sense of anxiety about the country.
I'm sorry, can I stop you there?
Yeah.
That was interesting what you just said. Do you think that Donald Trump was a stronger candidate than the other Republicans?
Yes.
You didn't beat the others, but you didn't beat him.
Well, I don't want to speculate like that, but I think the fact that he emerged and the way he emerged, which was so unlike anybody ever getting a nomination in recent times, demonstrated the strength he had, which was really rooted in a very cynical assessment of how he could build a Republican. He started on the very first day saying terrible things about Mexican immigrants. They're rapists, criminals. And all of a sudden, people, in the Republican side of the electorate began to say, oh, somebody's speaking to me. And then he went on from there. And all of his dog whistles and all of his appeals began to coalesce in the primary. And then once he won the nomination, he had some additional advantages like Russian help, sophisticated data analytics, operation, weaponizing information, all of that. But his core base, and he was right when he said, I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue, my supporters won't leave me, because he was in a visceral way feeding into their prejudice and fear.
That's an argument that Donald Trump was stronger than other Republican candidates because he was willing to play white representative politics in a way that others weren't. Is that a fair reading of what you just
I
said?
think that's part of his appeal, yes. And he was willing to play, let's not forget, Islamophobic politics, homophobic politics, sexist politics. I mean, he hit every single area of resentment and grievance that people were feeling. And his racism, which was endemic to his campaign, wasn't subtle at all. And there's now been so much analysis done since the election demonstrating clearly that, you know, so-called cultural / racial anxiety and prejudice was the primary driver for a lot of his support.
One way of reading the election results is that Donald Trump, through these appeals, was able to get white voters back as an interest group, to coalesce them in a way they had not recently been coalesced, to motivate them, but to be downscale whites in a way they had not recently been motivated. That didn't happen as much with women voters. You talked about watching the women's marches after the election and thinking, where was this solidarity? Where was this outrage during the campaign? Why do you think that politics worked for Trump, but you didn't see a corresponding surge, particularly among female voters?
Well, let's start with this fact, though. I did carry the women's vote.
You did carry the women's vote.
Right. I lost the white women's vote, but I actually got more white women votes than Obama got. So this was part of a trend.
In 2008?
I think, I can't remember, it was 08 or 12, yeah. And so white voters have been fleeing the Democratic Party ever since Lyndon Johnson predicted they would. There is no surprise to that. Of course, I hoped that I could get more than a traditional Democratic nominee did because I was the first woman with a chance to be president. But gender is not the motivating factor that race was for President Obama. And so many women, and let's talk about white women because that's the group of women that I lost, are really quite politically dependent on, you know, their view of their own security and their own position in society, what works and doesn't work for them. So as I say in the book, I had this really revealing conversation with Sheryl Sandberg before the campaign, and she's immersed herself in every bit of research about how do women think and what do they expect. And she said, look, and we're talking predominantly about white women, okay, she said, the research is really clear. The more professionally successful a man becomes, the more likable he becomes. The more professionally successful a woman becomes, the less likable she becomes. When a woman is advocating on behalf of others or working for someone and working hard for that person, the way I did as Secretary of State, and I was so popular in the public opinion polls, that is favorably received. But when a woman advocates for herself, so if I go and say to VOX, you know, I think Ezra deserves a raise, people say, is she a good person? I mean, she's out there advocating for Ezra. If I go and I say, you know, I think I'm working really hard and I think I deserve a raise, it's like, wow, what got into her? What's the deal? So Sheryl ended describing all this to me by saying, remember, they will have no empathy for you. Now, I believe, absent Comey, I might have picked up 1 or 2 points among white women. I'll give you the example I use in the book. So before the Comey letter on October 28th, I was 26 points ahead in the Philadelphia suburbs. That could have only happened if I had a big vote from women, Republican women, independent women. A week later, 11 days later, I win the Philadelphia suburbs by 13 points. I needed to win by 18 points to be able to counterbalance the rest of the state. That wasn't just me, that's how Democrats win Pennsylvania in presidential campaigns.